I'm Assyl from Speedbird.cars, and this is a Ferrari 430 Scuderia, a lighter, tauter, and more powerful version of the Ferrari F430. Standard F430 had 480 horsepower, the Scuderia has over 500. 60 millisecond gear shifts. I would never dare get anywhere near the limits of what this car can do. I'm not ashamed to admit. Why'd they call it the Scuderia? Scuderia in Italian means stable, as in horse stables. Prancing horse, horse stable. And that's the term that Ferrari use for their teams. It sounds a lot better in Italian. If you called it the Ferrari 430 stable, it's nowhere near as romantic in English. So this was the last Ferrari production car that Michael Schumacher helped develop. He developed the Scuderia, in addition to famously the FXX a couple of years before. But this is the final car that he signed off of. The final car Enzo Ferrari signed off was the F40. So there's some significance there, I'd say. I'm actually fortunate to know a gentleman who developed it in unison with Mr. Schumacher, and he helped to develop this. He helped develop the 360 Challenge Stradale as well. And when he was telling me some amazing stories, I asked him, Emiliano, what was it like to be passenger in a hot Ferrari with Michael Schumacher driving at the helm around the Fiorano circuit? His reply was very simple and straightforward. He said, Assyl, I have no idea. I was looking down on the laptop. I did not see. Fair enough. I'm sure he felt the G-forces, though. In the hands of someone who knows what they're doing, present company excluded, a pretty potent and special car. The Scuderia is actually 200 kilograms lighter than Ferrari's current mid-engine V8, the SF90, which I believe is just recently discontinued. Naturally aspirated, no hybrids, no turbos, and of course, the centerpiece of any Ferrari is its engine. And this one is quite the centerpiece. It's the sounds of the car waking up. 4.3 liters, 8 cylinders, and a very, very, very low center of gravity. In fact, the center of gravity is so low that I honestly struggle to even find the engine block. I can see the heads, those red heads, Testorosas, as it were. Even the engine is a thing of beauty to behold. Very similar picture frame structure to the Ferrari 360, and ventilation galore here, here, and here, which is necessary because a peak performance engine like this requires a lot of dissipation of heat. I do love a nice set of diffusers as well. You might notice that the Scuderia has a lot more holes in it than the standard F430. Air outtakes, air intakes, ventilation wire mesh. So while we let the car warm up, we'll just soak in this interior. Immediately you notice that it's a lot more Spartan than a standard F430. Carbon fiber door cards, very little leather, but there is some on the seat bolsters, which is a rare option on 430 Scuderias. Tight 4-point harness. Not ideal if you have a large, rich gut like mine, but they keep you nice and in place for sure. What's interesting about the Scuderia, or if you've ever driven a Challenge Stradale or an Enzo, or any of these cars really, even an Alfa Romeo 4C, when there are the slightest little minuscule stones and pebbles on the road, you hear them and feel them hitting the floor underneath. It's if you haven't experienced it before, it is a weird sensation, but there's no soundproofing, there's no sound deadening, pretty much. All the better to hear you with, dear Scuderia. It is a nice place to be honest. You feel cocooned, lower to the ground than a standard car. It's amazing when you're used to riding in normal vehicles on the road, and then suddenly you get into a very low center of gravity Ferrari that's lowered even further than the Scuderia. You really are part of the ground. It's a wonderful feeling. That old, overused adage of a go-kart for the road is apt in the Scuderia, for sure, for sure. I'm pretending to be brave by showing the 5-way traction control in race mode, but I'm not brave enough for that at all. And it's not my car, and I'm trying to sell it. So we'll very much keep it in sport mode. Wet mode? No, sport mode. We'll keep it in sport mode. That should be enough. Right, I think the car is sufficiently warm. Let's take it out for a drive. Wee, wee, wee. Bismillah. Okay. I think we went up to 60 over there. Maybe I'm wrong. I think it's more like 55. I don't want to be too bravado, but I think we may have hit 60. So we've spent the best part of a day with this 430 Scuderia, and even though it's not mine, and even though I'm not pushing it that hard, and even though I'm selling it or trying to sell it, hence this video, I can't help but feel a bit attached to it. It's been, what, 10 hours or so. Turns out this content creation stuff, not easy. But you can't help but feel some attachment to the car, to be honest. They truly made something special with the Scuderia. They truly did. So now, for those interested, the sales bits and pieces. Last service in November of last year. Very well taken care of car, driven sparingly, now reading 31,649 kilometers, and a great car. Okay, that's enough of the sales stuff. I'm going to talk more about the way it drives. When you're even pushing it slightly, and you can see your limits in the distance, and you haven't even got close to your limits yet, it brings out its true colors, you know? Like all great cars do. Is it perfect? No. As a car, as a commuter, even when you're on the interlock roads, you know, it's a bit spine-shattering. Obviously, driving a relatively expensive car on the highways, you're always overthinking things, but, you know, the sun's going to set soonish, I think. And there is a sense of the downer of the day where things are a bit calmer, you know, much calmer. I lied. Nice to meet you. As I was saying before, I was rudely interrupted by the car dropping down to second gear and accelerating up to 45 kilometers an hour. Great machine. Would love to take it on track. If I owned one, I definitely would. You got your roll cage, you got your 4-point harnesses, you got your pretentious gloves. I haven't experimented with race mode. I won't. It's leery and exciting and heart racing enough in sport mode. So I can only imagine in race, in someone's competent hands. I can't help but think back to my friend who I mentioned earlier, Emiliano, who was in the passenger seat while Michael Schumacher was developing the car at full chat. Must have been an astonishing experience, even if you are looking down at the laptop, because in the hands of a relatively fat, bald man, it's already an extremely exciting car. I can only begin to fathom what it must be like in the hands of a proper driver. They're great cars. They're great cars. You know that movie, There's Something About Mary? I'm going to make a film, and I'm going to call it There's Something About Ferrari, because there genuinely is. Let's do another pull.